look at my camera carefully. I get to work and I take a I take a bus. I wish I was rich enough to take a cab to work. Unfortunately, it is a bus. And the last word is I go to the store and I something for myself. Excellent. I think I saw Amin's answer first. It is buy. Great, great. If you have paper in front of you, near you, around you, I want you to take 30 seconds. I want you to choose a different letter, not B. And I want you to write down 5 words that start with this letter. Let's take 30 seconds. On your marks. Get set. Go. Do not write them in chat, please. If you just joined, we are writing a list of 5 words that start with the same letter. That letter cannot be B. When you finish, send a smiley face in the chat. Elia is very fast. Oh my goodness. That's an excellent smiley face. It looks like cheese. Okay, I'm seeing lots of smiling faces. Oh no, Fatima is not smiling. This game is your task with your colleagues after this webinar. I want you to experiment with elicitation and checking meaning, doing something you've perhaps never done before. So if you're not finished, that's okay. Fatima, don't worry. And we're going to move on to some different techniques and strategies we can use. So some of the ways that I just used, I showed you 5 different ways to do it, but there are, of course, many others. I could tell a story. The most common one that I think most of us use is pictures. We can also elicit from texts. We can either elicit things they remember from a text or something that was implied or just discussed. When we're eliciting grammar, very often we will use timelines. We can also do matching tasks. This is very common in pre-teaching. Realia is bringing a physical object, the real thing, into the classroom. One of my favorites is GIFs. I think that they help show more of the word or more of the meaning that you're trying to elicit. And of course, I can mime if I'm a good actress. That one is up to you. There are many, many others. I would challenge you to think of others. Is there anything right now that you know I've forgotten? Any ideas we have that I could add to my list? Role play is an excellent idea. See what the students come up with if I have a really specific task. Yeah. Drawing could work. You can't ask me to draw though. I'm a terrible artist. I use X's and O's on my whiteboard. A jigsaw, like a physical puzzle, or like hangman games. These types of puzzles can work well. Gestures, absolutely. 5 more seconds. If you have ideas, keep typing them. Yes, thinking about the word, the history, or related words, we can elicit this way as well. I have some problems, though, that hopefully you've never experienced in your classroom. And I want to know why these are problems. So here I have 4 really clear pictures, right? Everyone can see these, everyone knows these, and I want my students to match the words and the pictures. How confident are you that you could complete this task? You can write 100% confident, I know all of these, 0%, there's no way I could do it. Let's get a few answers in chat. Is it 50% luck or 50% you're a saw expert? Maybe you already know all of these. Or is it I am also 0% confident and I'm the one who chose the pictures? All right. So some of us might know some of these answers, but it could be really challenging. And it can be really challenging for students when we show them pictures and they don't understand the words. You know, they understand the pictures perhaps, but linking the words and the pictures, it's just not going to work. I mean, exactly. Yeah, if saws are not your thing, how can you know? So something we might do to improve the pictures in a series of pictures or in this specific task is to think about which parts of the pictures help the students get the meaning. So again, I have 4 saws, and again, I have words. This time, how confident are you? It's much higher this time, but it's still 4 saw pictures and 4 words. So many 100%. So what I've done here is focused on elements of the meaning that match the picture. So if you know you're going to use pictures, think about the basic meaning, think about familiar words. Maybe you still don't know what a table saw is, or you've never seen one, or you've never used one, but you know what a table is. So these connections, they exist in everything. If we can use these connections, if we can capitalize on them, it will be much easier for our students, and therefore easier for us as well. And one more thing to consider with this task is I can have 4 really clear pictures. But if the words are so unfamiliar, there's no way my students can get it, right? They know, you know what a banana is, what an apple is. But what are the chances that you can get all of these answers correct? So we need to think about our students' ability level. Are they able to do tasks like this, even though they might know these words? And how can we make sure that we help them with that? It is, I believe, a dialect they use in Malaysia. I used to use Russian in these slides, but then I've worked with some Russian candidates and they got all the answers right. So I made it, I made it a bit harder. I also could not do this task anymore. The last thing with pictures is I have a picture here on my slide, and I want you guys to tell me which word am I thinking of? Which word am I trying to elicit? Give me all your suggestions. Ilya, good guess. It's not. Oh, Sona is closer. I'm so sorry if if I mispronounce your names, by the way. It is similar to running. Heist is an excellent word. It's not a robber. I want you to focus on the action. Oh, escaping is very close, but not the right word. Sneaking away. Oh, we're so close. We're so close. No one has it. It's nope. Okay, let's pause. Please don't send any guesses in chat anymore. Oh, embezzle is an excellent word, but it's not that one. A governor. Nope. I'm gonna give you the word later, so don't forget this picture. But I'm not gonna give you the word right now. What we've demonstrated, though, is that you guys all really want to know the word. I have so many guesses. You're curious. You're like, oh, I'm close. I can do this. I can figure it out. And the best elicitation will get our students feeling like that. It shouldn't go on for so long that it's demotivating, but we want the students to feel like, oh, I can get this. I'm close. I'm participating in this lesson. A different way to elicit might be through a story. So I have two people here, and I might ask my students to name them. Elicit some names from my student. Let's say for today, this is, I don't know, Tina and John. And then I can elicit from you guys as well. What did Tina and John just do? Yes. They've bought a house. They've moved in together. Amazing. And they've celebrated their 10-year anniversary. It's an amazing accomplishment. We should be very proud of them. And what is, oh, I forgot her name already. Tina? What is Tina thinking right now? That's an excellent thought. Yes. She might be. She might be. What else is Tina thinking right now? Oh, you guys do not like Tina. Oh, this is exactly it. Popping the question. She wants a ring. She wants a ring. She wants him to pop the question. Excellent answer. Hopefully not second thoughts. She wants him to pop the question, and so she feels a little bit maybe impatient. Oh my gosh. So many creative answers. And so what does Tina say to her friends? She wants him to pop the question. She's feeling impatient. She says, maybe, hopefully not. She wants that. She's complaining to her friends. With some feeling, Masa, yes. What else? Give me one more thing and then we'll move on. I can see you guys are typing. Masa really has that impatience, that sass down. I like it. Okay, she actually says, I wish he would propose. Same idea, Ali. Yeah, she's impatient. She's ready. I was trying to elicit this sentence from you guys. And you guys are very intelligent, very capable people. We got close. You know, we got the general idea. We got the general feeling. We did not get the actual sentence. And that's okay. Elicitation is meant to engage our students, to get them excited, to get them participating. We don't have to get to the actual sentence itself. So in this example, I would elicit, hopefully a little quicker. We spent a lot of time today on it together. And then I would put up my concept checking questions or ask them to my students. I would cover a form, and I can do this all on one slide and then drill this sentence. And I have now elicited and checked this grammar point in a specific context. So stories can be really, really effective and engaging, but they also can take a bit more time. So think about yourself, how well you can plan your time. I'm not very good at it in my own lessons, and make sure you're considering your own abilities. My slide here is missing 3 words. And this is our next discussion question. Can you help me? What are the 3 missing words on my slide? We're close. All right. We have them all, but not all in one message. My 3 words are what, how, and why. When is an excellent question as well. My answer would be as often as possible. Just all the time in our lessons. So I have here a list of what we might elicit. Vocab is one that we elicit most commonly. We might not elicit grammar as much. We might let our materials do the work for us, or we might just say, today we're studying present perfect. So maybe we should challenge ourselves to elicit grammar a bit more. But we can also elicit the topic of the lesson, different ideas, pros, cons, advantages, disadvantages. We can elicit stories like we did earlier. And then functional language, situational phrases. These can be elicited as well. My personal favorite is eliciting corrections. So when we put up student errors or delayed feedback on the board, we can take a step back. We can let the students do it first, and then we can elicit from the group, rather than just from the fastest student, what the corrections could be. I have a very long list of how we might elicit. I would like you to read this list and write in chat one item that you have never done before or never used before. What's one thing in how that you've never experienced or never used? Hangman is this puzzle idea that someone mentioned earlier. Can take a long time, can be very, very fun. Word webs are great if you are doing a lexical set, so you're focusing on fruit and vegetables. Instead of you showing pictures, just elicit as much as you can in a word web. Clines are fantastic. Declines are lines, usually scales from 0 to 100. We usually see these when we are talking about adverbs of frequency. So never, rarely, usually, always. This visual representation of meaning, this is a cline. We could also do it with hot, boiling, or cold, freezing, even colder. We can show visual representations. A good list of things we've never done. I want you to come back to this list and choose something and do it in one of your upcoming lessons. Challenge yourselves. I'll send you my slides so you can have access to this later. You can come back and look at why we might elicit. But in summary, it basically just helps the students become more active in the learning process, and it puts the focus on them instead of on us. I promised I would come back to this word, and I will. I have some tips for you to remember while we are talking about eliciting. Don't let it go on too long. When the students start to slow down in their suggestions, when they're not giving you as much, it's totally fine to come in with the word or with the structure. Before you move to checking, you need to make sure that all students know which word we're talking about, because probably we've thrown out 10, 15, 20 different words. We need to stop elicitation. We need to say, this is the word. This is what we're focusing on. And then we need to ask concept checking questions. And I'll give an example of that in just a second. It does refer to CCQs and eliciting. Yep. Yeah. And this elicitation is very difficult to do if you haven't got a plan. So make sure you know what you'd like to ask, how you'd like to guide the students, and when you're going to stop elicitation. Some words are just very hard to elicit, like this picture that I showed earlier. There is 0% success of getting the word I'm looking for. I have never had it happen before. I'll curse myself the next time I give this session. Someone's gonna get it. But it's difficult. We don't think about it, or maybe it's less common. That's okay. It's not a failure if your students don't guess the word. It's just hard to elicit. So what's the word then? When we move to CCQs, I'm going to give examples with that word. The worst CCQ of all time is this one. Students will either say yes, and then we have to trust them, or they'll say no, and we have to ask CCQs anyways. So try to eliminate this from your vocabulary. It's very hard, very challenging, but let's look at some better ones. The word that I was looking for is abscond. Word is abscond. Yeah. So we all know what the word is. I'm going to ask some CCQs, and I'd like your answers in chat. Before absconding, did this man do something illegal? Yeah, he probably did something illegal. It does depend. You are correct. There's a lot of context missing here. Is he running towards something or away from something? Yes. His eyeballs help us out. With abscond, when I say abscond, he's running away from something. Yeah, he's running away. And are people chasing him? Probably. Or is he just scared? Yes. People are probably chasing him. If we're absconding, they might not be chasing us right now, but the cops are after us. They're on our trail. So you might have never heard the word abscond before this session. That's totally normal. I chose a very strange and different word to illustrate this, but hopefully now you have a better understanding of what it means through just my 3 CCQs and my 1 picture. We would, of course, want to practice and take it further in the lesson, but this is a good start to getting our students. And you guys had excellent guesses, right? We had running away. We saw that he was a thief. The core elements of the meaning, you guys already knew. So I have some CCQs here, and I'm going to set this as a post-session task. I'll send an answer key as well with my slides. I want you to think carefully about which CCQs are good CCQs here and which need to be improved or reformulated. So I'll send that answer key as well, but I want to make sure we have some time for questions, so we will carry on for now. We focused a lot on vocabulary, and I wanted to end with a little bit of grammar, because I think sometimes we get scared, or I definitely got scared sometimes, of asking CCQs about structures. And I want to kind of reiterate or emphasize that it does not need to be as complicated as we think it does. So when we are dealing with grammar or structures, if we just break down, what does this mean, into like really small, really bite-sized pieces, we might get something like this. So I managed to do it means I did it, I tried to do it, and I succeeded in the end. But if I say I managed to do it, it wasn't easy. So it was a difficult task. And probably I did it once. Probably it's not a habit. Because if something is a habit, I wouldn't say, oh, I managed to do it. So if I wanted to ask some CCQs, the easiest way is to take what it means and make questions. Did I do it? Yes or no? Did I succeed? Was it difficult or easy? And these starting points will help you understand which CCQs to start with, which CCQs are really necessary. And then you can ask slightly harder CCQs to differentiate between more subtle areas of meaning. But this is going to get the basic idea across to your students. So the summary overall of this whole presentation is that we always need to have a clear context. Without all the information, without a picture, when we're asking CCQs, we're going to get answers like, it depends, because it does depend. So make sure that your pictures are either really clear or you're adding context in with a second picture or a story. And if you can match that context to the task you'll use the language in later, that's definitely going to help your students. You know your students best. That is always going to be true. So there are so many ways to elicit, and none of them are the best way. Think about what your students already know. Think about how they learn. Think about what connections are going to be easy for them. And then you get to make the decision of how to elicit and how to check meaning. If you've covered something similar last week, you can connect back to that when you're eliciting. Or if the word is very similar in your student's first language, there's really no need to spend 10 minutes checking, right? It's the same concept, or it's a similar idea. Elicitation, as I've said, does not always work. It's not always successful, but the point is to get the students active and thinking, and if their guess is close, then all you need to do is prove what the difference is between their guess and what you're eliciting. You don't start from zero, so you're already starting from a great place. Some methods of elicitation take a lot of time. They might look really great or really fancy, but we have so much to do. And if you can save yourself some time, do it. Think about how long you're planning and versus teaching, and make sure that your balance is, making sure your well-being is taken care of, and that you have enough time to get through everything. And my last tip is, a lot of times even adding a second picture will add enough context or new variety. Sometimes we see a picture on Google Images and we think, oh my gosh, it's so clear. Everyone will know this. And our students look at us like we have 3 heads. Nobody else gets it. So even adding a second picture can help kind of make this connection. Thank you guys so much for your participation. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them. I know you have a full day of teaching ahead of you, so I don't want to take too much of your time.
Kelci, prior to any questions, I would like to thank you a lot, I have to say. It was really informative, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Brief and very to the point. Thank you again. Well, I would like to use the opportunity of being the host and asking you the first question. Is elicitation and retention are similar? I mean, does elicitation help retention?
Yeah, I think you can find articles one way or the other. There's no direct connection. One of my favorite phrases is, what we teach is not what students learn. It's not just, putting something into their brain, but elicitation does absolutely help retention. If we elicit more and the students are more active, they can more easily retain what they've learned about.
Thank you.
Great question.
If any other of my esteemed colleagues or other participants have any questions, please unmute your mics and ask the question.
Also, while we're waiting for questions or people to unmute themselves, I'm going to throw my email address in the chat. If you guys think of questions later or anything comes up, please feel free to send me a message. I love hearing from people.
Thank you so very much. By the way, everyone, at the end of the session, before leaving, write your full names in the chat box together with possible affiliation if you wish. But your full names are necessary. Thank you. So far, no questions, and I had the only question of the session.
That's okay. You guys are very complimentary in chats. I really appreciate it.
Sorry, ma'am. Could I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the insightful presentation. It really is a great chance for me, since I've not studied English as an academic pursuit of my career. So it really was something that's eye-opening for me. I do have a quick question here. I want to know that what is the approach towards translation while you're trying to actually elicit something? A lot of my students just pop into translation, and it seems to give them the comfort of not challenging themselves. So I always been struggling with this in different levels even. So I would most appreciate it if you explain it a little bit.
You have asked the big question in English language teaching, and you'll find people who say that you should never translate. It ruins everything. The world will explode. And you'll find people who think it's the quickest way to get to where I'm going. And I am very much in the middle. of if students are frustrated and they don't understand, and I know their language, my job is to support them. So I can come in with a translation if I'm very sure that it's the correct one. I'm teaching in Turkey, for example, and I do speak Turkish, but maybe at like a B1, B2 level. So I will sometimes translate nouns that I know, but I don't translate harder things simply because I don't feel confident that I'm giving the right translations. I think generally, you basically mentioned this yourself in your question, it takes them out of it. They don't have to do the work. They don't have to challenge them. So I think it's good practice to get away from translation, but that doesn't mean that we can't use it as a tool. That doesn't mean that maybe initially the students really need that, and slowly we can explain to them, like, I want you to learn, I want you to be active. That's why I'm asking you to do this work. So it's about working with your students where they're at, and kind of working towards a goal of less translation over time.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Any other questions I can answer for you guys?
Apparently no questions yet, so we might have the after party before leaving.
That's okay.
Kelci, my utmost appreciation on behalf of Amir and other esteemed colleagues of mine, also other participants. It was really insightful, as Ilya correctly mentioned. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure to work with you guys. Thank you so much. Do we know how to stop the recording now is the other question.
I suppose. Mariam is going to stop the recording, and we'll